Time now for Coming In Hot with Brent Wallace, former Ottawa Senator Jason York, and Shawn Simpson.
Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Coming In Hot. Brent Wallace alongside Jason York and Shawn Simpson. Boys, we are waiting for a big win south of the border tonight, huh? The Sens and Sabres.
That's all the talk. National TV, that's all they're talking about is Sens and Sabres tonight.
Sens
Nothing
and
else.
Sabres.
Haven't seen coverage of anything else that's going on.
No,
Big game.
Just that and the killing of a little squirrel named Peanut.
No.
Poor Peanut.
We're going to discuss the Senators today, and we're going to discuss where we would rank Ottawa's D compared to the rest of the 7 teams, the other 7 teams in the Atlantic Division. We'll get to that as well.
Yeah. Keep it on the rails here.
I'm trying. I will say I was in the U.S. I know Simmer, I think you tweeted this about teams playing on Election Day in the U.S. I was in Nashville in 2016, the night that Donald Trump was elected.
Yeah.
And so we're in the building watching. So we know like the results, if you will, because people are watching it on their iPads and whatever in the press box. But we don't know what's going on outside. So we have no idea if we go outside, if it's absolute anarchy or chaos or anything that's happening. And we're like, and I remember talking to my camera guy, Dave, and we're like, are we going to do we get home tomorrow? Okay. Like, we had no idea how that was going to turn out. But in the end, as we know, it was fairly normal.
So, question here. How did we not kick off the show with our new country song, Wally, from Frank?
Oh my God.
What?
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
I was getting to it, but well, you wanted to talk about squirrels, and I was trying to help you.
I thought we'd have the come in music for the show today. Switch it up to our new little coming in hot country song.
No, that cost too much money. So,
great. But Frank, I don't know how Frank did that, but that's one catch. We're gonna have to. We play that for the.
Yes. Okay. Stand by. Hang on. So Frank McDougall it's at Jacob Byte 30. Frank McDougall used AI and made a song for our show. Here is a snippet of it, if you will.
From the locker room sound bites, cheers to heat, Wally's nerd report can't be beat. It sends hockey talk, nothing else we need except maybe another right shot RP. Welcome to the show where the Sens fans grow with Wally Vision here over a row. The Yorkies got tales from the ice to the bench. Simmer's poll is live, don't sit on the fence. So tune in almost every day. Maybe Wally will be nice from Simmer and Yorkie. He gets the hockey advice. This is for the Sens, the passion, the grind. In Hockey Talk Nation, we're one of a kind. Oh yeah, I came in hot. CIH, it hits the spot. It's more fun than Alfie's 11-11. It's Senators hockey heaven. Oh yeah, I came in hot. CIH, it hits the spot. It'll blow you away. Ready or not, oh yeah, I'm coming in hot.
Okay. Hey, come on.
Number one.
Are they not going to be line dancing at the Crazy Horse for Industry Night tomorrow night, Wednesday night?
Absolutely. We got to get this going on some of the country stations as well. I mean, that is it. I've seen a lot of crazy songs submitted, especially when I worked for TSN. Hearing that and how he put that together and the whole thing, oh my God, that is absolutely incredible. And I totally agree. Get that rolling at the Crazy Horse, get the bull riding and a little bit of line dancing. That is a great rhythm right there.
The coming in hot line dance. You have to have the moves to the right, to the left.
We'll have a whole line of merchandise available: cowboy hats, boots, belt buckles. There is a good part, and it does say about the Simmer, hear ye. So that's, but we couldn't play the whole song, or people would probably tune us out. So, thanks to Frank. I don't know what we can do with it. We'll probably get sued by playing it, but it is a good song.
Yeah, if you want to catch,
why would you not be able to play it? What is it based off of a real song, Wally? I'm assuming it is, right? The music?
No, not that I'm aware of. But Frank just said that they own still the copyright of the song or something. To that effect. Anyway, so. I don't think we'll be releasing it on our Christmas album or anything.
Well, if anybody wants to hear the full version, Wally, I think you tweeted it out on your account, Simmer. We all three of us did, so you can find it out there on X. But it's worth a listen. It's pretty catchy.
Might be the Sens' new winning song.
New goal song. Well, it's better than the Hall & Oates song. Come on.
All right, so let's get right to the fact the Sens in Buffalo tonight, but no Artem Zub in the lineup. No Zub for you, which not shocking. So they'll go with the same lineup they had, but Linus Ullmark will start in goal.
You just sneak a little funny in there, Wally, with the old Seinfeld gesture.
Funny here.
That's pretty good. Look at you go, eh?
Yeah, and Travis Green saying it today, guys. Hey, give him a couple more days. I mean, that makes sense. We kind of speculated yesterday how good he looked, but not to mention you're playing so well right now. I guess what has everybody talking so much is that he was rotating in with Bernard Docker in the third pairing. What's that going to mean if he plays Thursday? Is Hamonic going to come out? Is JBD going to come out? But for right now, hey, you're coming off a couple of great games on the weekend. No reason not to give it a couple more days.
Yeah. No, that's kind of what we all threw around, spitballed yesterday. As soon as you're prancing with one of the forwards, you're not playing. Like it's pretty cut and dry. So, and we'll see. Who knows? Something could happen tonight. Somebody gets hurt again. It's the way she goes. But I would suspect I would think Zub would be playing the next game. Like it looks like
against the Islanders.
Yeah, I would think that'll be the game. He's probably back in.
Yep. No doubt. So now and you don't need to rush him back against a Buffalo Sabre team that's not exactly tearing the world apart here. They are winless in their last 3 games. They are struggling. Their power play, their penalty kill, struggling. Is this I don't want to get into the bet 365 lock of the day here, but is this a trap game for the Ottawa Senators?
I don't know. It's too early in the year to call trap games, and I think for the Ottawa Senators, I think Travis has this team in a really good mindset right now. There's no way these guys are sitting back right now saying, you know, the Buffalo coming in here, you know, then taking it easy. You can't take your foot off the gas pedal. The division's too tight. The league's too tight. They're only one game against 500. I think the message is let's more of the same. The reason we are where we are right now as a team is attention to detail, hard on the back check, getting some good goaltending. It's all 20 guys on board, and just keep going. And you can't take anybody lightly in this league. And Buffalo still has good players. Sooner or later, they're going to start putting some wins together. You just want to make sure that's not tonight. And Buffalo always plays Ottawa hard, so you can't take them easy.
Yeah, and like you said, York, he's 6-5. I mean, I'm not looking at any trap game. I'm looking on trying to get on a roll. You're going back with Ullmark, and really the story in Buffalo is a lack of depth. But when you talk about goalie graveyards and where they've been searching, and Luukkonen, I'm a big fan of his, and Devin Levi, but it takes a long time. And when you look at those special teams, worst power play in the National Hockey League, special teams alone. But from an Ottawa perspective, deep down, if I'm a player, I'm the coaching staff, I'd be disappointed to go in there and lose tonight. There's no doubt about it. But I don't feel it'd be a trap game. And I think you got a real motivated Ullmark who wants to get on a roll here.
Okay, there's no way that save percentage is right. 983.
Oh, 893.
I'm like looking at that. I'm like, okay, how is this guy 3-4 with that save percentage?
Yeah, and he's a big body, boys. I watched him play when he was with Sudbury when he played Ottawa in the playoffs, and I'm a big fan. But again, it just takes a long time. And you talk about a losing culture. Is it 14 years, guys, since Buffalo made the playoffs? I mean, the energy around that franchise is just such negativity, even with Lindy Ruff coming back into town.
Yeah, has it been that long, Simmer?
Well, maybe 11. But it's certainly the longest streak in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like it was Ottawa when they beat them in the Eastern Conference Final? Am I wrong? Okay, hang on.
It's been a while. Big time. They've gone through about 3 different rebuilds. They've tried different things. I mean, Pagula
2011
put the money into it. 2011.
Yeah.
Yes. 13 years.
They tried the soft touch with coaching when they brought in, what was it? I forget what his name was, but they've had so many different
Ralph Kruger?
guys. Ralph Kruger, who tried the nice guy approach with them. And they brought Donnie Granado. Now they're going a little old school with Lindy Ruff. And I don't mind the Lindy Ruff move. I always thought Lindy was a really good coach. But Simmer, you mentioned it right off the top. You can't win in this league without good goaltending. So
for sure.
That's been the crutch of this team for a long time, and that's the crutch. And you look around the NHL, And wherever you consistently see teams that are bad hockey teams, they have bad goaltending. It's the
Yeah.
bad hockey team and bad goaltending just go hand in hand. You just can't cover up for bad goaltending.
Yeah, and you look at a move like letting Ullmark go, that and the free agent signing. I remember when he signed with Boston, guys. I was kind of surprised. I was like, "Wow, that seems like a lot of money for a guy that I didn't know much about in Buffalo." And then the other part, when you talked about them, and they did the whole thing where basically Jack Eichel only answered to the owner. How many players wanted to leave there? But what I always heard was Eichel and Reinhart are just spoiled brats. They run everything. It's a bad culture. They're never going to win. Well, you trade Eichel and you trade Reinhart, and I guess I'm probably more surprised, guys, about Reinhart. I didn't see that coming. Like they're talking about now him playing in the Four Nations. I mean, he is an absolute matured, and Eichel is on one of the best lines in the National Hockey League. So to me, that has been also part of it. You let guys go, and that speaks to your culture. Like when guys can consistently leave and are successful at their places, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing when talented players that perhaps have a reputation for not being team guys go to a team that just from the top up, from your ownership to your coaches to your players, they have that culture. You're forced to buy in, otherwise you won't survive in the locker room. The guys in the locker room eat you up. It's the way it is. And then you buy in. And the best example is Jack Eichel. Like, man, like without him, that team is not a Stanley Cup team, and he's just such a good player, and he's made a total 180. And same with Reinhart. Yeah, it's I would agree. Like that guy has totally reinvented himself.
Yeah, big time. And as far as Eichel, guys, it's just interesting because the risk of even the neck injury, and all you heard about again was him being a spoiled brat, and is he going to do that? And you mentioned it before that with a Mark Stone and those guys, you have to buy in. Like you're not going there. And Florida's created the same thing when they made the trade for Tkachuk, and they're bringing in players. You look at some of the moves that they've made under Bill Zito, and a lot of it speaks to culture. Guys that have been bounced around. You know, Forsland on the back end, you end up getting him off of waivers. I mean, it is amazing some of the stuff it does, and I totally agree with you. It just speaks to a very good culture and forcing guys to mature quickly.
And that's why Ottawa, Steos, and Dave Poulin targeted the guys they did this year.
Yeah.
How do you improve your culture? Bring in guys that are older guys, have won, that not necessarily superstars, but they're going to be in that locker room day in and day out and enforce that new culture. David Perron, Cousins, like Giroux was brought in before, and Nick Jensen, another guy. Just you can never have enough guys, even though Jensen strikes me as a guy that probably doesn't talk a lot, but incredible shape, works every single day, great example, and just a good pro. Like you can never have enough good pros. And that's, you know what, you got to give credit to management for going and not going big game hunting, but actually going out and signing needs and addressing needs.
Yeah, and it's not easy, guys. You can make up all the blueprints you want. There was some speculation even with Ullmark whether or not Ottawa was on his no trade, which he wasn't. But he also could have probably pushed it where, and I'm not sure if I want to report. I want a contract extension. They were able to do that, and it does make it very impressive. The pieces that you put in place, because as I said, you can go into some things, and then the other thing you don't want to do, there was a lot of pressure on them. You don't want to force things in the offseason, right? Where it's like you're forcing moves, and well, that trade doesn't work, so there's no right-handed D. We'll bring another lefty, or we'll keep Chikrin. No, I think it was very methodical, and so far so good.
All right, we're going to get right to the lock of the day because you guys are just going to stumble over it and tell me your picks anyway. So, as we always do, Yorkie, take care of some business.
Well, take a little care of business here with BEI, our good friends at Bonisher Excavating. If you want to get some equipment rentals, aggregate and topsoil sales, as well as some custom crushing and screening, hot mix paving, well, BEI is the company for you. You can hit them up at 613-432. I need my glasses on for this one.
432-1120 or go to BonisherExcavating.com.
I know the BonisherExcavating.com, but the print is so small on that rating. Anyhow, BEI, we all know the slogan. It's a great slogan. They're helping to shape the Ottawa Valley, and please remember to slow down in construction zones, people.
I never asked them. I just made that slogan up. They kept it. So
helping to shape the Ottawa Valley?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Little marketing by Wally.
Yeah. So I don't get credit for all the work I do.
Poor Wally.
That song was loaded with Wally touches and talk. So I think you're getting lots of credit out there for Wally
We're
Vision.
getting lots of love.
Yeah, Wally might be nice. That's the line that you'll remember. That one, I think it is. And this show proudly presented to you by Bet365, proud partner coming in hot. Open an account today with Bet365. Bet on a huge range of markets. So whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code NATION. Must be 19 years of age or older. Please play responsibly. Download the app. The betting lines, gentlemen, have changed even throughout the day. Ottawa now the big time favorite, if you will. They're at -120 with the Sabres at +100. As you see, our new board has finally been approved, so we get to use this to keep track of how we do as we pick the Ottawa Senators throughout the season. I'm a little bit of a struggle because really, you guys always just pick Ottawa, and then I just pick the other team just to make it a little more fun.
Well, not
Yeah,
really.
you're pretty close. So it's a tight race early on. Nothing to be embarrassed about. Hey,
Yeah, he's in the mix. Are we doing our picks now? Are we going to?
Well, yeah, because you guys Simmer already kind of
Well,
already knows
you know what?
Simmer.
You're in last place, Wally. You
Yeah.
can go ahead and take the Buffalo Sabres right away.
I am concerned about it being a trap game, I will admit. However, Ottawa has won 9 of its last 14 against the Sabres. Ullmark is 4-1 lifetime with a 1.82 and a 945 save percentage against the Sabres.
Yep.
There is no reason not to pick Ottawa on this one unless you want to be a contrarian, and I don't today, so I am taking the Sabres. Sorry, the Senators. Sorry,
oh, geez, there you go.
I am taking the Ottawa Senators.
I am taking the Sabres. Wow, yeah, that's good on you there, Wally. But I agree. Just look at the way how Ottawa's playing right now. They're playing with some good structure in their game. They're paying attention to the details defensively. They're back checking hard. They're getting good goaltending. I see no reason not to take Ottawa on this Simmer. So I'm going to agree with Wally. So 2 for Ottawa.
Yeah, no, I got to go with it. And I look at a week like this, and I think Ottawa so far, guys, is it the 3rd hardest schedule in the National Hockey League? So I look at a week when you're playing Buffalo, you're playing the Islanders, you're playing Boston, who has really been struggling. I think this should be a big week for Ottawa. And I think the expectations, and as far as trap games, I've said to you before, Wally, I'm not a big fan of Monday and Tuesday night hockey, but there's no reason for the Ottawa Senators this early in the season. And they've got such good energy coming out of the weekend. And there's a lot of players, and they're starting to gel as a group. Ullmark on those numbers, and he talked about it today. I have played Buffalo enough times. I don't care. It's just another game. But I think, again, he's got to be motivated to get in the net and get on a bit of a roll here. So I'm taking Ottawa for sure.
The only concern, gentlemen, is Ottawa struggling on the road. 1-4 on the season.
Yeah, lost 3 in a row on the road, eh?
Yeah, that's the only. But I mean, they did face Colorado and Vegas and Utah, if you will. But that Ranger game, they probably, they should have probably at least got a point.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly. And just look at the special teams alone, guys. I mean, my God, a power play at 8.6%. I don't know if the analogy is the same, Yorkie, but they used to say the combination of your penalty kill and your power play should be over 100% when you mix the two together. My God, when you look at that, what they've got going, I mean, they're not even at they're barely at 80%. I mean, that is just scary. And I would think with Thompson and Dahlin and some of the other talent that they have on their club, that's pretty shocking to be 32nd. And look at Ottawa's power play, 3rd in the league, clipping along nicely, basically 1 goal on every 3 chances.
Yeah, the one when I was in Ottawa, we had those pretty good teams, and we always made the playoffs 5 years in a row. Assistant coach Perry, I always bring up Perry Pern. He's just such a smart guy, such a detailed-oriented guy. He'd always say to us before the games, guys, if we win he had it broken down in the percentages. He goes, if we win the special teams game tonight, which is beat them on the power play and the penalty kill, he goes, we have an 83.2% chance of winning this game. Like, he had it broken down to the exact. Nice. He was into analytics before analytics were a thing, but it's true, especially early on in the season. Special teams are so key because you get way more. It just seems like you get way. I don't know what the exact stats are, but it seems like the refs are a little more whistle happy early on in the season because they're trying to
the new rules
and all that stuff. So you get more opportunities, and if your special teams are clicking early on in the season, that's going to help you get more wins. It's that simple.
Yeah, and I'd also be curious, guys, to see what kind of crowd there is tonight. Again, because I don't think on a Tuesday night, and Buffalo's not off to a great start. It is Ottawa, which isn't a big draw, but with the election going on right now, I kind of see a bit of a reverse, Wally. I think it might be a bit of a flat atmosphere. I don't expect it to be a big crowd, and I think everybody in the crowd is going to be on their phones. So I think it could be a little more of a letdown for the home team personally, but we'll see.
Well, all the memes are unbelievable right now for the election. They're so good. Well, it wants nothing to do with election time. Let's get back on track right now.
Exactly.
Right?
Simmer,
we are not showing that squirrel meme. I know we're not showing.
What were you gonna say, Wally?
When I was in Nashville, the crowd was fine.
Yeah.
I will say it felt a little different at the start of the game. There's just and maybe it's because 7 and polls were starting to close and stuff. But as the game went on, it was just it seemed normal.
I don't disagree. I'm just really looking kind of at the market, Wally. Nashville always has a great atmosphere in the downtown and everything. I just get the sense if I'm a Buffalo Sabre fan and just a person, I'm like, you know what? This might be one to sit out tonight. I'm just going to stay home and flip channels between the two. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying the game itself or, I don't believe there's going to be anything crazy happening. But I do think there's a lot of people that might just say, you know what? Hey, this is a night where I might give the tickets away or might just, as I say, stay home.
Well, I don't like your attitude.
Okay.
Let's get to breaking down the D groups in the Atlantic Division. Someone, and I apologize right now, someone in the chat yesterday at the end said, where would you guys rank Ottawa's D in the Atlantic? And so I thought, well, that's a great thing to try and break down. So you two geniuses are going to help me out here. Before we do that, this show proudly presented to you by Charm. Charm Diamond Centers is proudly Canadian owned and operated since 1972 with more than 85 locations across the country through Charm and their sister brands. Get custom ring building delivered in less than 4 weeks with the Charm Masterpiece Program and an unbeatable pricing policy. Check out the large selection of Canadian lab-grown diamonds, mine diamonds, and don't pay until 2025 with their instant in-store financing on approved credit. For more information, go to charmdiamondcenters.com and by Square. If you run a restaurant, you're too busy for this ad. You're thinking about how to get more orders flowing and new locations opening. You need to get more customers and keep them coming back. So really, you're thinking about Square because Square Restaurant Tech helps more than 400,000 restaurants do all those things and more. So when you're thinking about your restaurant, think bigger and think Square. Go to square.com for all the information. And no, I'm not singing today. You two have to figure out jingle. I want a duet of you two at the end.
We need the Arkells guy, Yorkie, to do a little jingle for us on the
where's
piano.
Max?
We could settle into it a little bit easier. I'm a terrible singer to start with, but if I had a little tune behind it, maybe I'd feel a little more comfortable.
Yeah, I agree.
Listen, it's not it's just a little line. Chosen forever, Charm Diamond Centers.
Well, he's actually got a little harmony in his voice.
He actually does.
There's something there. It's believe it or not, you wouldn't think so, but I think there's something there.
I'm suffering from PTSD from all the whatever the jewelry company was.
No, we're not talking about another jeweler.
I know. That's why I don't want to talk about it. But those commercials were the worst. So maybe I get a bit of mental block. And I'll also say, as far as the exercise, Wally, I think if you're a fan, you should take the opportunity here to go through the defensive corps within the division around the National Hockey League and just understand. And I still see people, and I have no idea why, saying Ottawa needs another defenseman. I'm like, what? I don't know where you're playing this player. Go through some of the teams here. Go through the Florida Panthers, who won the Stanley Cup and lost Montour. Go through Tampa Bay, who lost Sergachev. When you start to go through it and you look at the 5th and 6th pair or 5-6 guys, Yorkie, oh man, it's not like anybody in the division. I'm pretty bullish on the Ottawa Senators, to be quite honest with you.
It gets slim in a hurry when you get down to the last pairings of teams. And we're going to go through the teams and go through our picks. But Wally, I got a question. Were you in your high school a cappella club?
No.
Choir?
I can't sing.
Sang it at church?
I will say, when I was really young, I was in the church choir.
I knew it.
I don't know.
I knew it.
I don't know if I got kicked out though. I might have kicked out. I'm not sure. I can't sing.
Kicked out. Wow.
I
Yeah,
do.
'cause
You
for
were in the
for
church
not being able to
choir.
sing.
See, you used to sing a little bit. There it is. There it is.
Yeah, but I think I would have been like before grade 1. So I don't know if that
So
counts.
So how did this happen? Like, who made the decision for you to get in the church choir? Was like,
I
did
think
your
all of
parents
us
just
were
say?
in.
So the
My
Wallace
mom would have
family.
that. I, I'd have to look. I think there might be a picture of the 4 of us.
Oh,
I
nice.
need a
Are you good?
picture.
Are you
A
good
brother and
Catholic
2
boy,
sisters.
Wally?
No, we're a Baptist family.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure. At least myself and my 2 sisters. I might have just been told I had to do it. I don't know. I just did what I was
Okay.
told.
In the choir. Yep, church choir. I knew it. I knew it.
Can we move on?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I just knew when you're humming that tune that there was a little bit of a musical background, and who would have known
No.
that Salty Wally was actually in the church choir? Like, this is unbelievable.
I never saw this coming. That this would be
There's
brought up in the show.
many onions. We're just peeling the layers off the Wally onion here. We're finding new things here, Simmer.
The longer this
Absolutely.
goes, I'll be singing like the old Rugged Cross or whatever it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Can we? All right.
Oh.
Let's start with the Florida Panthers, shall we?
Okay. How are we doing this? We going through team by team and telling
so
where we're.
I don't.
Like, what's going on here?
We can. Well, that's how you got. If you guys want to do it, you didn't come to rehearsal. So I just took. I went to Daily Face Off, took the D pairings that they
it's
had,
good.
and here they are to give you some idea. But
Yeah.
if you just want to talk about who you think is where, we can just flip through them.
I think Florida's really interesting, and you guys brought up the fact that they've lost arguably, well, not arguably, he's their best offensive defenseman was Brandon Montour, and he's moved on, signed that great 7-year contract. But if you look at quite possibly maybe the most underrated defenseman in the league, you can look at Gustav Forsling. This guy, well, we saw it in the playoffs last year. This guy is a tremendous player. Ekblad's that big, long defenseman you love to have. Dmitry Kulikov was playing in their bottom pairing before, so he had to elevate. So there you go. There's Simmer's point. Like, it gets pretty thin in a hurry. Nate Schmidt's kind of a journeyman. He's a decent player, and then I can't even pronounce the last guy's name. So there you go. Like, who is this guy? Like, so, and this seems to be a common theme with a lot of teams. You got 3 really good defensemen, and then there's a little bit of a drop off to a guy that's probably should be playing in your 3rd pair that's up in your top 4. So that's why you look at Ottawa, and Ottawa's kind of intriguing because you actually have 4 legitimate top 4 defensemen in Jensen, who is, he's a top 4 D on any team in this league. Thomas Chabot, Artem Zub, and Jake Sanderson. So they're in a pretty. Are they through 1 through 3 the best 3 defensemen in the league? No, and they're not. Like, if I look at other teams' top 3, especially Tampa, I really like Tampa's top 3. I know we're not on their board right now, but when you can roll out Ryan McDonough, Chernik, and Victor Hedman, I think 1 through 3, those are the 3 best. But Tampa, after that, then it just drops off the map because the rest of their D, it's just such a difference with the rest of their D. So, and there's their depth chart right now. Like, after that, like you've got Darren Radish, who's playing in a top 4 role. If he was on the Ottawa Senators, he wouldn't be in the top 4. And that's just because you're paying Hedman so much, you're paying McDonough and Chernik so much, and that's it's every team's built differently. But everybody always talks about how Ottawa's D. This is the same for every team. Like, it's just, this is what the cap's done, and no team has a perfect top 6, at least not in the Northeast.
Yeah, and the other common theme, guys, as you mentioned, and I actually had Tampa as the top in the division, but as the teams mature and go through their cycle, as you said, there's a squeeze. You lose a Sergachev because you can't afford him anymore. And then what is also happening, you can see that every team in the league, guys, the 5th and 6th guys are usually journeymen. Like, there's not a lot of teams that are producing defensemen. And that's another part about Ottawa that's exciting, is having Clevin and JBD. And as far as the Ottawa board, I mean, there's a big difference when you put Zub in for Hamonic as far as what that
Yes.
looks like. And
Right.
yeah, 1 through 6. And like I said, maybe I'm becoming a homer and I'm watching it, but I certainly have them ranked pretty high in the division. And I think if you're a Sens fan, take the time to do the exercise and go through it and look at some of the other teams in the division, and even the teams that are trying to rebuild in the Detroits and Montreals and Buffaloes, where Ottawa is in comparison. And I think 1 through 6 are certainly ahead of those 3 clubs.
Let's take a look at Buffalo, and then we'll do Detroit and Montreal just to have it, because those are the rebuilding teams and they haven't been playoff bound contenders. And so Lindy Ruff wanted to make the comparison of Ottawa to Buffalo today, which I'm not sure they're in the same atmosphere at the moment. I just think Buffalo has pieces. They don't have a team together. But I don't mind their D Corps.
Me neither. It's the goaltending. Like they're like, when Ottawa makes mistakes, their goalies are now making saves. Where let's be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Buffalo, but I look at Rasmus Dahlin. He's arguably one of the, where do you put him? Top 10, top 15 D in the league. Bowen Byram is a real nice player. I loved watching him in Colorado. Great skater. I thought he was a great pickup. Owen Power. He's just a really good young player. I still think he has some deficiencies defensively, but offensively, he moves the puck. He's a decent player. And you got Samuelson in your third pair is a nice player. Not too familiar with Bryson and whatever. Again, it's always
Jacob Bryson, if I'm not mistaken, is a 5'9" defenseman. Now, I don't want to. I know that size isn't everything if you say, but we go back to the Eric Brandstrom debate all over again.
And it's hard, but you look at a guy like Power, the upside is incredible. So where are you going to be in a couple of years when you look at him? And I think some comparisons at time to Chris Pronger. The only one on Byram I'm just curious of is that generally when teams give up on young defensemen, he has been good, but boy, oh boy, he's had a lot of issues with concussions, and you see quickly. Really they need him to kind of keep it all together. He's kind of the keystone on that back end, because you take him out of that group and all of a sudden, like a lot of teams, now you're just talking about a 1 pairing defense, and a very good one at that.
Yeah. It's you want to flip over to the Detroit, take a peek at them. And this is interesting too, because you got a couple of veterans who were pretty highly regarded player. Like Jeff Petrie 2-3 years ago was, wow, this guy is one of the, not top, but upper echelon rate shot, puck moving D, but now he's a little bit older. Same with Ben Sherratt, decent player, smart, good veteran, but they're not quite where they used to be as players. Sider is just a tremendous player. This guy is he's an absolute stud back there. Big right shot D, he's mean, he moves the puck. To me, he is one of the best young defensemen in the league. But again, there just seems to be a lack of depth. And then not only does Detroit have a lack of depth, but I just think they're not where Ottawa is right now, especially if you look where their veterans are in their career. Like if you look where Zub is in his career, like he's not on the back nine. You look at where Shabbat, he's in the prime of his career right now, and Jake Sanderson. Well, you can say they got a Sider. Ottawa's got a Sanderson, so that's why I got Ottawa ahead of Detroit.
Yeah, and if you go way back, guys, and you look at Tampa Bay, how do you get your top defenseman, Hedman? How do you end up getting in Florida on Ekblad? You have lottery picks, and now what you see on the bottom feeders is you've had teams like Detroit, the kid in Montreal who I'm blanking on, the Swiss kid who blew out his knee, Reinbacher. These high picks. I mean, that's where you're getting them, and that's a common theme as you go through. Some more mature, but in the case of Sider, in the case of Sanderson, this is how you end up building around it. You go back to a Cale Makar and Heiskanen. The only one that's probably an outlier, guys, is Charlie McAvoy. That's probably the one defenseman in the division that I think was 15th overall. That was an absolute steal for where he was at. But the majority of these clubs, and it's certainly a work in progress for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, we'll jump to Boston after we take a little peek at Montreal's D here. And I like, you look at value per dollar per player, what he's for his contract, like Mike Matheson, for what he brings to the table, that's a really nice contract he's on. I think he's just over $4 million, I believe.
Yeah, that was a hell of a trade.
Oh, this guy, I think this guy is a great offensive player. Is he a number one? No. And that's probably why with Ottawa, like, they don't have a true number one, but hell of a player on a great contract. We'll see what happens with Lane Hudson. Seems like a tremendous talent. Time will tell if with the size. That's always going to be the question mark once the games get bigger and stronger in the playoffs and the space gets tighter. But man, he sure is a talented guy. And Savard's a good pro. But again, is David Savard a legit top 4 defenseman at this point in his career? Probably not. But that's just where Montreal is right now. They're to me, they're at a different stage of where Ottawa is. They're still in that rebuilding and trying to figure things out and buying time for guys like a Hudson to get his feet wet and see what you got. And Gooley's a pretty nice player. I like him as just a good two-way defenseman. But again, he's not where he's going to be as far as once he's matured and has more reps in the league.
Let me ask you too. Before he went to Montreal, David Savard was talked about as maybe a trade target for Ottawa, a free agent signing they should go after. 807 games. He's 34. I'm just curious, if you could acquire him, would you put him in the Jacob Bernard Docker, Travis Hamonic, that bottom 6 spot? Would he fit in Ottawa?
He is really slowed down, guys. To me, he looks almost like a goaltender in his equipment at times. And also, I'll say on Montreal's defense, guys, I still don't see the formation coming out in a rebuild of anything real firm. And as far as Lane Hudson, I think he's a tremendous young player. Yeah. He is what you thought Brantster might be. Is so dynamic, does so many good things. I think Gooley's going to be an excellent player, but this is very much. And then talk about the Jake Allen trade. I'm not sure what the theory was. I know Montembeault had a nice year, and they're kind of high on Primo. But look at that defense, and you combine it with the goaltending that they have right now. And there's Jake Allen getting a shutout last night. I think I took New Jersey on the road. But anyways, they're still there. Hey, there's a lot of work to do. And the other thing up front for the Montreal Canadiens, not that we're talking about it, Kirby Dach has been an absolute dog coming over. Newhook has not been very good. No, he has been. I'm being honest. There's they got some nice players. I like Caulfield. I like Suzuki. Slavkovsky certainly has a lot of upside. But hey, everyone was so hot and heavy about this team and the picks, and Demidov is certainly going to be a good talent. But there is a lot of work. They're a long ways off from being there. Well, they're probably going to pick first overall, or at least in the top 5 again this year.
Yeah, you got to be. It's tough because you got to be really careful when you build your team around smallish players. And no disrespect, like Cole Caulfield is a tremendous goal scorer, but you've now decided to build your team around 2 really undersized players in the league where size matters. Unless the NHL goes away from what they're doing right now in the playoffs look at teams' defenses, big, long forwards that have success can get to the inside. I know you have to get to the playoffs, but it's tough because once you're in bed with the player and you decide you're going to draft that player that high, right away, here's the money, you pay him, and all of a sudden it's just, I don't know. For me, I think it's going to be difficult for Montreal to win long term when you're building around small players. It's unless this league changes the way they're going as far as the style goes.
Okay. So that leaves Boston and Toronto to do next.
Yeah, I like Boston's D a lot. I like if you look at their D.
Yeah.
Can we throw it up? We mentioned Charlie McAvoy. I think he's one of the best right shot D in the league. I know he's not putting up a lot of points right now, but this guy plays offensively, defensively. He's got a mean streak. He can skate. You look at their top 4, and this is why I talked about most teams have 3 legitimate defensemen. And we don't even have, Lore's in that list, who had a nice playoff last year for them. Big, tall kid who can skate and move the puck. But Zadorov, to me, is the key to this group, guys. He has been wildly inconsistent throughout his career, and they just paid him a lot of money as a free agent to come in. But McAvoy, Carlo, I think, is one of the best defensive defensemen in the league. He is big. He's long. You see him in the playoffs when he plays his best. And Lindholm. I love those 3. The question for me is, can Zadorov just play simple and not try and carry the puck all the time like he does? Just play D and play mean and be big. And then I think this D has a chance to be the best, arguably the best group in the North.
Yeah, and I certainly like the three, and I agree with you on Zadorov. But when you talk about mistakes at this point in his career, guys, and kind of getting shifted around, he just doesn't have much hockey sense. I mean, the game is not really, as you said, Yorkie. That's a lot of money. They wanted the size. Certainly, McAvoy can settle any partner, but I think that was a big risk on doing that. And he came off a pretty good season, you know. And as you said, everyone was hot and heavy for him, and getting a big guy like Chara in there. But I'm not sold on that as far as the money and basically the slotting. But the other three, totally agree with you. The Boston Bruins still have a very good defensive core and a very good goaltender.
Because it's just, if you look at, like, they have that big long stopper in Carlo, and he's a right shot. That's just such a hard. That's just a hard player to find. Like, most teams don't have that guy, and that's part of the reason Boston was so good for so long. Like, you watch him on the playoffs, Simmer, he is so good defensively. He just takes up so much room in the slot of cold boxing guys out. Doesn't take a lot of penalties. I just think he's a really good underrated defenseman.
Yeah, just has to stay healthy. And certainly Bruce Cassidy did a hell of a job in developing him coming in. And I totally agree. Like, he is, well, just rare to find. And Lindholm came over, I think was injured when he got traded to guys on that deadline. But I thought last year and even the previous year, I think he's very, very underrated in the National Hockey League. He's a very efficient player, excellent hockey sense, and underrated size at the same time.
And this is the hopes in Ottawa, that you can develop Tyler Kleven into playing that type of game. You just need to be big. You need to be long. And I think Kleven's moving the puck really well now. He's making quick first crisp decisions. He's taking his first looks. He's just playing defense. And if he can just, I would be showing tapes of Carlo for him to watch, and guys like that just play really simple, efficient hockey. And if, like we just said, you can't trade for these guys. You got to develop them. And that's why I think it's real nice and important that you got Kleven playing every game, because you're trying to win. If you're Ottawa, you want to make the playoffs, but at the same time, you got to develop from within. So it's nice so far they're able to do both things at once.
Is it the best top four in the Atlantic?
Ottawa's?
No, Boston.
I'm not a huge Zadorov fan. I really like their top three, but I also like Tampa's. I think there's an argument to be made if you go four in total with a healthy Zub. Ottawa's got four really good top four. Like, they don't have the best. Like, I look at, like, Hedman to me is on a different level. McAvoy's on a different level. I look 1 through 3. I have Tampa as probably the three best. And with I think Chernak, we talked about right shot stoppers. That guy's an absolute beast back there. And if that's what Ottawa's missing right now, they're missing that big, strong, mean stopper back there. Kleven has a chance to be that guy, but if there's one deficiency, that would be it. And that's going to come in time, and hopefully Kleven becomes that.
Okay, last team. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, and I like him. And the other part, guys, going back with Chernak, that was the Ben Bishop trade at the end of his career. Like, what an absolute find that was to bring a guy in like this. And that afforded them the opportunity to get him signed. I know it was brought up a couple of years ago. Why not offer sheet a guy like that? But hey, it is now squeezed out Sergachev. And I totally agree. He is such a good player. And Ottawa could use a little more size, but 1 through 6, I like them against anybody else. But I would say overall, Wally, I've got Tampa and Boston as the top two in the division. And then I got no problem putting the Ottawa Senators third, to be right now, to be honest with you.
I think Ottawa's I have Ottawa kind of around the same level as Florida and Toronto. Like, we haven't even talked about the Leafs. Toronto's defense isn't.
Do we care about the Leafs?
Well, we should take a look. Let's take a look. Let's throw the Leafers up there.
Yeah. Well, Tanev has been a nice move, eh?
He's such a stabilizer, Simmer. Like, there's your right shot stopper right there. Like, this guy blocks shots like nobody's business. He's just a competitor. He's a warrior. For him, it's just about staying healthy. Benoit in your bottom pairings, he's big, he's tough, he's mean. So that's nice to have. Connor Timmins, I watched him a lot in junior. He's actually a pretty good puck mover and right shot defenseman. He's still trying to establish himself in the league, but for me, it's all about Ekman Larsson. Can he be the Oliver Ekman Larsson that he was in the past? He showed it looked like he was done in Vancouver, reinvigorated in Florida. Yeah. If he can play at a high level, that's going to help this group a lot, because you know what you're getting out of Tanev. You know what you're getting out of Riley. Jake McCabe's just kind of a meat and potatoes type of guy. He's a solid player. Well, this is a good blue line. Again, it's the same as everybody else. There's a drop off. Don't really have the stud there, but they've got some good, capable guys.
Yeah, and that's the part I'll go to, guys. I don't mind the 1 through 6, and really the best free agent signing of the summer might be the goaltender Stolarz. But when you look at Morgan Riley for the freight and for what he's capable of doing, he's not really a true power play guy. He's a pretty good defender, not bad on the PK. But as I go through that group, the difference is when you go through most of the other teams outside of Montreal, you look at the one stud, and that is certainly a deficiency with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And just how much of this has not come internally. Right? How many of these guys have had to be traded for and given fresh starts other places? They have not done a very good job with drafting and developing.
No, they haven't. No.
I will say, though, we could probably pick teams that struggle don't look very good defensively, right? So that's one of them. And it's no secret when we look at Montreal and Detroit and Buffalo, they've struggled. I mean, we don't think that their blue line is fantastic, but if you give them a good goaltender, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So that's what, anyway.
And also, too, like, let's be honest here. Ottawa's had a nice start, but there's still lots to prove here. Like, they need to show consistency over a long stretch and a long period of time. So team 6 and 5 right now. Shabbat and Jensen have played well together. I'm anxious to see what happens when Zub's back in the lineup, when you get everybody healthy and everyone's slotted exactly where they should be. And when Zub's back with Sanderson, and you got the pairing of Jensen and Sanderson, and then you have your bottom pairing, which I'm assuming is probably going to be, well, who knows what's going to happen in this game with the 2 young kids. So that's when we're going to get a true idea of exactly where this defense is at. Yeah,
and also for those teams, I'll say Montreal, Buffalo, and Detroit guys, they're kind of playing the long game with their goaltending, and trying to bring Luukkonen and Levi through. Montembeault, I'm not sure what to make out of, but Detroit drafted Costa in the first round. It's a long haul. Like, imagine if the Ottawa Senators had gone into this year with Sogard and Forsberg and had not made the Ullmark trade. I'd have them right there with those other teams. But that is the difference of being able to not only get a number 1 goaltender, but get it from a division rival. It's very similar to when Ottawa sent Ben Bishop to Tampa Bay. So that's the difference of trying to stabilize your program, trying to make some progress where for those other teams, they don't really have a clue who their guys are going to be and whether they're good enough to get to the playoffs.
Interesting for me today, Travis Green alluded to that there's no fear of commitment on the Ottawa Senators, as they've all seemed to have bought into not cheating defensively. Is to get back, is to make the simple plays. And I think that we start to look at this team saying their blue line's better because everybody's now being better, right?
Yeah, and the other part it should equate to, like we saw with the Rangers guys, Wally, it should equate to good road hockey. I mean, this is exactly what you want to do, is going into a place like Buffalo, playing smart. Buffalo's going to turn the puck over. They're going to make a lot of mistakes. Win the special teams and structure for what we saw in New York. That's where I'm pretty excited about the Ottawa Senators, and there's just absolutely no reason as you look at the week, going back to that again of playing Buffalo, playing the Islanders, playing Boston, that if you're the coaching staff, you're like, okay, here's an opportunity now to get on a bit of a run.
Yeah, when you're on the road and you're playing a team that's struggling, you just want to go in there and you just want to be patient and let them beat themselves. Like, to your point, it's like the home team has to put on a show. They have to win. Just play solid. Don't turn the puck over. And eventually you get your chances. And that's what Travis Green's preaching to these guys. Just, you don't have to force things. And it helps when you don't give up the first goal of the game all the time.
Yeah. And the other thing in Buffalo right now, guys, with the Bills off to the nice start, like, that's all anybody's talking about. I mean, the Buffalo Sabres are almost, once again, it's like, okay, hard enough to get attention in the fall, but it's another one of those seasons, and the negativity of that market, like the hockey fans, I think a lot of people have just lost hope. I'm going to put all my focus in now to the Buffalo Bills until I see something I can actually rely on. And the start that they had to the season with bringing Lindy Ruff in, you're just having all these memories of teams that struggle and teams that can't make the playoffs.
So that leads us to today's Simmer survey.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Wish I could be walking around Buffalo right now, going for some buffalo wings and just ringing my bell. Anyways, where would you rank the Sens D Corps in the Atlantic Division? The best, top four, bottom four, or bottom feeders? What do you got, Yorkie?
I'll go with I love the best. I'll go with the top four. I'll put them in the top four. That's where I got. I agree with the rankings you had. Like I have in Tampa, Boston, and then I kind of have Florida, Ottawa, and Toronto all kind of in the same. So yeah, I got them right there in the top four.
Yeah, what do you got, Wally?
Oh, so that's a good question, because you guys have said Tampa, Florida, Toronto, and Boston are all really good top four, if you will, right? Like they're all pretty good group.
Yeah.
So
I think there's a bit of a drop after Tampa and Boston. That's just my own personal feeling.
so
Like I
you're
said,
Tampa,
with
Boston, and then Florida, Toronto-ish.
No,
Like-
I would take Ottawa.
But
I'm
I'm
not,
yeah,
you know-
no. I
Oh,
out
okay,
of the top
yes, yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah, and I just think
you-
when you lose a guy like Montour, I mean, think of taking Nick Jensen out of the Ottawa lineup.
Yeah.
That is a major, major loss. I look at Florida right now, guys. They're kind of a one-pairing group with a great goaltender. Tampa Bay has a great goaltender. Boston has a great goaltender. Hopefully, Ottawa's going to have a great goaltender as well.
It seems that we're a little Ottawa biased because of it.
Yeah,
But if with the Artem Zub group, I can see top 3, definitely top 4, maybe top 3. But
Yeah,
I
I
think
totally
your
agree.
goaltender makes a huge deal.
Oh, for sure it does. And it allows guys like, you're hoping with the way Forsberg's playing, if Ullmark gets on track, guys, that gives guys like Clevin and JBD. I mean, trying to play the last couple of years in Ottawa as a young defenseman, you're trying to figure out, am I making that many mistakes or the goalie's just that bad, which the goalies were. So, yeah, I've actually got them ranked 3rd. So I'm definitely going with top 4. I just really, when Zub slides in, I really like the top 4. The way that Jensen and Shabbat have gelled. Zub and Sanderson are an excellent pairing. And hey, what's not to like about homegrown talent like Clevin and JBD? And I think that's where they set them apart from some of the other teams that have had to go out and just find journeyman guys to fill their 5-6. So I'll absolutely go top 4.
Yorkie, did you already pick top 4? You did.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm Boston. To me, Boston and Tampa are a nudge above, and then Florida's interesting because you look at a guy like Makala back there. He's 6'5". He's big. He's long. He's got. You can't discard the fact that there's a lot of defensemen on that team with Stanley Cup experience from going through that run. So Gustav Forsling, man, he is a really good defenseman. Like if I look at Ottawa's blue line, as much as I love Sanderson, just Forsling has that experience. So he's, to me, Ottawa doesn't really have a Forsling yet. Sanderson's got a chance to be that guy. He just needs more reps, and it's. But then Ekblad's the big guy. The thing about Florida is they're big. They got some big bodies back there, and that's. That equates to winning in this league. So I might have Florida a touch above Ottawa just for that Stanley Cup experience. You look at Ottawa's roster, and to be like, you look at Shabbat, not a lot of playoff experience.
None.
Yeah, there you go. You look at Zub, none. Sanderson, none. And then I look at Jensen's got some. So you can't discount the fact that those guys in Florida won the Cup. So that type of experience to me puts them a little bit above Ottawa. I think Ottawa has more talent, but they are missing big bodies back there. And I think I got to give, I'd put Ottawa 4, and I'd probably have Florida at 3.
Yeah, and you go through it, guys, and then Florida kind of looking at Vegas and that type of game. There are some guys on Vegas that are just some big space eaters, and if you put them on a team that doesn't play with structure, they're going to be in trouble. But because they're supported so well, and the other thing with Forsling, guys, Ekblad, to me, now part of it's been injury, but he has never reached the potential I thought he'd reach. Forsling has saved him a waiver claim. Like he came in, it's almost like the Ekholm trade. Not if I'd be careful if I'm the Four Nations team for Canada to bring Bouchard in, and obviously Ekholm's not going to be playing for Canada. The difference of his game and what these pairings, and we're seeing it now with Jensen and Shabbat. We saw it when Mathot came in with Carlson. It just makes a world of difference. And Forsling has really boosted up. And there's no doubt that he's the number 1 defenseman on that hockey team.
There was people making an argument that he was in the running for the Conn Smythe last year.
Yeah, he was so good.
he was so good. And that's why they were saying, you know what, maybe we can, we're not going to sign Brandon Montour because we have this guy we picked up on waivers who's now turned into one of the best two-way defensemen in the NHL. And look where Florida is. They're winning again this year. I know Bob makes up for a lot of things, but you can't discount the experience that defensive group. It just, once you have that, your confidence goes to another level because you've been in situations, high pressure situations where mistakes matter and you got to play under pressure. Florida has that edge, which Ottawa hasn't experienced yet. It's just the truth.
By the way, the votes, there's 5 minutes to go, but it's the best is at 4%, top four at 88%, bottom four at 6%, and somebody has said bottom feeders, and I've asked them to show who they are in the chat.
Ooh, show yourself.
They won't come out.
That's Habs fans, eh?
Yeah.
Simmer loves to stir the pot with Habs fans.
I haven't as much now. It's not as fun anymore because they're down on their own market now, so it's not as much fun. And I got to say, last year I was so tough on Slavkovsky, and I was like, come on. And I think I had a bet with somebody if he get 50 points, which he did. Yeah. I was absolutely shocked in that, but they're going through the same cycle that Ottawa did. Yeah. Every move that management made was unbelievable, and they're going through the rebuild. And now you're just realizing, man, oh man, this takes 5, 6, 7 years when you're talking about an 18-year-old draft.
Mm-hmm. But the other thing is too, Ottawa was the same 3 years ago, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Also, the year of Alex DeBrincat coming in, like, oh, this is it. Pierre has said the rebuild is over. This is it.
It's not what they were saying on this show, though, Wally, when that move was made.
No. I didn't even mean to bring his name up. I feel shame every time I do now. Before we go, two things. One, on Twitter, there is or X, I guess, there is a chance to win tickets to the Islander game on Thursday, generously donated by one Eric, our good friend and reporter Eric, I should call him. And two, before we go, gentlemen, we've all picked an Ottawa victory. So who is scoring the game-winning goal for the Ottawa Senators?
Oh boy! Wow, I'll go. I'll go with the Drake. It's feeling a little Drake Batherson game-winning goal.
In practice yesterday, he seemed to score everything.
Oh, so he's playing with so much confidence right now.
I'm looking forward to seeing that line on the road. I just feel like Claude Giroux, and this is a night for him. So I'm going to take the old G-man to score the winning goal.
Well, I'm going with Nick Cousins.
Oh, nice. Your guy.
Nick Cousins scored his first NHL goal against the Buffalo Sabres, and I'm going to take him to score tonight.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, I'm expecting a big game from Ullmark. Pretty good structure and just a confident Ottawa group. And again, no reason not to win a game like this on a very quiet Tuesday in the fine city of Buffalo.
It is not quiet. Of anything, it is not quiet.
Quiet on the hockey front. Like I said, if you turn on the sports radio there right now, they'd be talking more about the Buffalo Bills and their great start and everything going there and the new stadium and mix into some other coverage. And then they say another news. The Buffalo Sabres host the Ottawa Senators tonight at 7 p.m. Tickets still available. Okay.
Voting booth outside.
I got a buddy right now, my good buddy Paul. He's on his way to Florida in his RV, visiting his daughter, and he's actually in Washington right now, sending me texts. He says there's 1,000 cops ready. There's Secret Service everywhere. Everyone's waiting in case chaos ensues. Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah, anyway, I don't expect it will. I think it'll be quiet, but
I don't. The whole January 6th thing was completely different. What's also different, we don't have to have the spectacle of Donald Trump. I'm assuming he'll be at Mar-a-Lago. So he's not in the White House where they'd have to evict him. The only thing that would be interesting if he tried to storm the White House or if he declares victory like he did in 2020 and doesn't end up winning. That's but it's going to be a fun night switching back and forth. I'm into both of them.
Well, I'm into all Sens. This is the only thing I'm paying attention to. So,
all right.
It'll be a victorious night in New York State for the Ottawa Senators. We'll be back tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow, if all works out well, current Ottawa Senator will join us tomorrow.
Yeah,
big guest. Yeah,
nice.
Okay. This guy
For
we're talking
Somebody
about.
that's being talked about an awful lot right now in Sens land and getting a lot of love from Sens fans. So it's actually a real nice story.
Yeah,
So
great
we'll
story.
All right, guys. Be good tonight. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Cheers,
See you.
Ottawa.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to Coming In Hot. If you enjoyed the show, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.